It is no accident that tennis uses the language of life. Advantage, service, fault, break, love. The basic elements of tennis are those of everyday existence, because every match is a life in miniature. This quote came from Andre Agassi, a former #1 world tennis player, and it perfectly sums up what tennis is. Tennis has recently gained more attraction than it has ever before. But do you know how it got where it's at now? Hopefully, with more information on the tennis culture, it may help you understand why it's so popular. My brother first introduced me to tennis before I enrolled in high school, and he insisted I join the high school tennis team. I followed my brother's suggestion, and after some time, I was put in the varsity level. Tennis became an important sport for me, and it made me want to learn more about its culture and the sport itself. So, excuse me. Let's delve into the complex world and culture of tennis and how it's impacted the world. We will focus on the history of tennis, its most influential people, and some of its terminology. To know more about tennis's impact, we first have to learn how it all began. According to the article History of Tennis, the sport goes all the way back to the 12th century, where French monks created a variation of what today's tennis looks like. The same article mentions that the term tennis comes from French monks yelling tenez while they're in a match, which in translation would mean to take. Over time, tennis gained popularity and spread throughout Europe, creating with the now famous tournament called Wimbledon Tennis Tournament in 1877. Based on the article History of Tennis, tennis began evolving the more attraction it got. Its equipment went from leather balls, wooden rackets, and indoor courts to what now is indoor-outdoor courts, graphite rackets, and rubber tennis balls. Although the sport had upgraded its equipment and rules, there are so many challenges that tennis players had to combat to change for the better. That's where two influential tennis players come in, which impacted the sport and made it what it is today. Billie Jean King, which I'm going to put a picture right here, was a pioneer of women's tennis. Based on the article Billie Jean King, Billie beat Bobby Riggs on the quote-unquote Battle of the Sexes tennis match, proving to the public that that skill is not limited to someone's gender. Billie also fought for the equal pay for women and treatment, for women's tennis players, causing her to found the Women's Tennis Association as described by the article Billie Jean King. Roger Federer, and I apologize if I'm saying it wrong, and I'm also going to put a picture up here, was another influential player in the tennis world. Excuse me. Lorenzo Ciotti stated that because of Federer's creative ways of playing and amazing precision as well as speed, caused many tennis fans to try to play tennis, and not even tennis fans, like almost everyone that saw him. Federer also captivated the people, or the public, through his sportsmanship and friendliness towards his opponents, as also stated by Lorenzo Ciotti. Just as it is important to know the influence of Billie Jean King as well as Roger Federer, it is also important to know some of tennis's terminology. Because I'm not able to go over all of the tennis's terminology, I will go over one of the most common and also some of the most interesting ones. Some of the most common terms one will hear in a tennis game would be game, set, and match. According to the article Essential Tennis Terminology, a game is defined when one of the two players serves, which means hitting the ball to the opponent, until one of them wins 4 points. A set is when a player has won 6 games with at least a 2-game difference of the opponent. And once a player wins 5 or 3 sets, that would be called a match. Another well-known term is the word love. Here I have a shirt which states love means nothing. I hope you could read it. And some may think that it's heartless to say this, but in the tennis scoring system, love means zero. So essentially, it is correct, and it is also stated by the essential tennis terminology, well, the article essential tennis terminology. Now, there was a lot of information presented about the culture of tennis. We discussed how it first started, the most influential players, and also the most common terms in the tennis world. So, if you ever get to play tennis, I hope you get to experience the excitement I felt when I got to play. Thank you.